This is a quick discussion with Lisa, a bit of a catch up on what she's been doing, probably 8 months on from when she kicked off her business and joined team last year. Lisa, tell us about second line of defence and how things are progressing. I wanted to catch up with you.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster, to be quite honest. I mentioned to you at the time when I joined last year that not only was recruitment new to me, but the industry sector that I decided to embark upon was totally new to me as well. So it was like, throwing myself in at the deep end. But in a nutshell, Sarah Everard, most people remember that woman's name, was murdered last March in Clapham. I am born and bred in Clapham, so it really resonated with me. But in particular, the brutality of her murder and the fact that it was done by a police officer kind of really hit home, because, as you know, I've been a magistrate for in excess of 10 years now. So me and the rule of law are a bit like that. So it really threw me, and I was quite angry about this. And I found myself on a bit of a roller coaster trying to understand why such things happen, in particular to women. But on my journey, I extended that research, if you like, into vulnerable groups in particular. And I stumbled upon, if you like, the private security industry and those frontline door supervisors, as they're known now, otherwise known as bouncers, came sort of front and center of the work that I was doing, because we know how stretched the police are. And actually, within the nighttime cultural economy, it's the people standing on those doors that are essentially the people who are more likely to be of service to anyone who's having a hard time. It didn't take very much for me to kind of scratch beneath the surface to recognize that this was a very, very male dominated industry, that had been regulated for 20 years and had been talking about diversity and having more women for 20 years. But 20 years later, I find out that there are still only 10% of the 400,000 licenses have been issued. Only 10% are women. So essentially what that means to someone like me is that, and I go out a lot, is when I go out, the person on the door has no bearing whatsoever to me. He or she, but it's mainly he, has no idea about the journey, literally the journey that I took to get and what I needed to go through in order to get to that place. I often say to friends, male and female, the really best way to describe this is a male friend will get a call about going out for a drink. He'll be really excited, chuck his jacket on, fly out the door and think about what pint he's going to have. Bang, that's the end of the story. Me and my girlfriends and other women in situations like when we get the call, we're super excited. We start thinking about what we're going to wear. Is that too tight? Is that too short? Should I wear flat heels? Should I wear heels? That's before we've even left the house. A lot of this is subliminal as well. I leave the house and I'm like, am I going to be interfered with? I'm wearing a short skirt tonight, but what idiot is going to decide that he's going to make a comment about it? And, am I going to get to that place, on the bus to my journey in peace? And I'm thinking all the time about, is it a well-lit road? Is there anyone walking behind me? This is all the stuff that's going on in my head. I get to the venue, I'm going to be hassled potentially by the bouncer on the door, who may or may not want to separate me from my friends because somebody might be a little bit too tipsy. I get into the club and then I worry about my drink being spiked. And again, unwanted advances from more idiots, right? And then I have to do this and think about this all the way home. And now I've had a few to drink. I may or may not be with my friends. This is the average journey of a woman or someone who is a representative of a vulnerable group. And within that, I mean young people, I mean members of the gay community, certain ethnic groups. We need to protect these people, and we need those people, and they are the second line of defense, because the first line of defense is the police and the ambulance service and all those people, but they're stretched, right? They're stretched. But the second line of defense is that private security industry. and is that frontline service, those door supervisors. And when you do your training, you wear that badge. And as part of wearing that badge, there is a duty of care for you to ensure the safety and the safeguarding of the people that cross the threshold into whatever establishment it is you're looking after. But I think there's been a little bit of a disconnect somewhere along the line, because that ain't really happening. We saw recently in Brixton at the academy, what happened there? Corruption,
that was shocking.
bribery, in letting people in, it was a disaster waiting to happen. And so it's not just about being able to go out and do the training and get the badge. It's about the level of integrity of the person and the individuals wearing that badge. So I went out on a mission, basically. I decided, with my 2 teenage children, I decided that neither me nor they were ever going to have to walk the streets in fear. That's not why I brought them into the world. So I thought, all right, no one else is doing anything about this. I better do something about it. So I set up second line of defense. And the idea there is about trying to convince young women from various backgrounds, various groups, that they are part of the solution to the problem. The more we get people from diverse backgrounds, particularly women, because we need to address this sort of massive discrepancy between the number of men and women doing those roles. Until we get that kind of traction with those people changing the makeup of the people that make up the people on the doors, we are not going to really get any further than where we've been for the last 20 years. And actually convincing those people is not necessarily as straightforward as it would seem. So, I went off and got myself qualified, and I've worked the doors for the last 2 years in and around Brighton for that very reason. I needed to bust everything that was out there about why women can't do this job or why they shouldn't be doing this job. That is an antiquated way of thinking. The modern day security operative is, communicative, full of empathy, and is a human being, basically, and able to secure premises and keep people safe and have a personality, right? Because after all, we're there to facilitate people's nights out, not to stop them from going into premises or actually chucking them out once you got them drunk. That's not what it's about, and we need to change the narrative, and this is what I'm trying to do.
Well, let's jump forward. I understand that things are moving quite fast for you now. You've got clients you're supporting, which is fabulous. I think you're about to join our new hospitality and event group.
I am excited about
that. So bring us up to date. What's happening with the business now?
Yeah, so now I'm at the stage whereby, as a sole recruiter, one of the first things obviously you need to be able to do is recognize that you can't do all the jobs, and also you don't want to. I certainly don't want to do all those jobs. So one of the first things that I did, and it was speaking to some other members and suppliers within the team organization, was to seek out some back office help, essentially. And I partner with a company called T-Boss, and they look after all of my back office, all of my invoicing, whatever, which has been invaluable for me, because at the time when you're setting up a new business and you need to be sort of front and center of the work that you're doing, I just do not, I'm not interested in it apart from anything else. And they are brilliant and they understand my business. So that was a really important thing for me to do. And I did that really early on. As time went on, particularly towards the end of last year, I did a lot of thinking about what my role within this organization should be and was going to be. And it took me a while just to kind of work that all out. And I had a good understanding. And what I also realized is that I needed a marketing partner, basically, to follow me, kind of synchronize with my journey and help me get myself known in the industry a little bit more. And so again, at one of the London regional meetings, I met James Whitlock of Thinking Circles. It's one of the best and serendipitous meetings I've had over the last few months. James and his team are amazing. He understands and believes in what I'm doing, and was able to give me some really sound advice about how he could help me in that arena. And again, for me in particular, 2023 is an important year because, I'm trying to kind of solidify all of the kind of hard work, you know, the prep work that I did in last year. But now it's about actually, right, now you need to make some money. Now you need to get some clients. Now you need to get those candidates on board, signing up, so that you have this offering. And that was really important to me. So James and I realized that the first quarter of this year was going to be that time where we really solidified the message that was going out to both potential clients and candidates about why it would be amazing to work for me and my organization, all the sort of mission statements around that are integral to what I do. And we start pushing out that information, and that's what worked brilliantly well. I mean, honestly, I was stunned as to how quickly that traction happened. And now the conversation is about having conversations about building on that client base. We've identified, especially I have identified, two very clear potential client groups that I want to go after and target. And now it's about building that campaign, thinking about the dialogue to start it off, and then approaching the requisite number of people that we need to get on board, and then following through. So I'm quite excited about this stage now, because it's like, putting my money where my mouth is now. And it's like, right, I do have this service, I have this offering, it's needed, it's working, I've proved that, come on board with me. So I'm hoping that people feel the same way as I do.
They're going to buy into your energy, your positivity, and the fact that you're going to knock down walls to get there.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
And just to blow our trumpets, have we helped on that journey with team?
Without a doubt. Well, had I not joined team, I would not have met, the Barry Cullens of this world, and the James Whitlocks, and, being introduced to organizations. Your supplier network is, basically a vetted, proven to work network of really good and useful suppliers who know their stuff and are able to give good, solid advice when you need it. So for me, invaluable. That, I mean, as I said to you before, I knew nothing about security or the process really, and I'm learning on the job. And obviously I know so much more now than I did 8 months ago, but still I need that support. And I know that looking at the team network is always going to be the first port of call for any other additional roles that I may or may not need in the business going forward. It's the first place that I will go to seek out advice. You've been amazing as well, as on a one-to-one level, just your ability and your willingness to connect, like-minded people or businesses that may be able to help each other out. And it might not always be that you're going to get something out of it. That's not what it's about. It's about, at some point, there will probably be a reciprocal arrangement which will benefit both people. But I am all about, if I can help other members of the team network, but I'm not getting anything back, and that doesn't matter to me, because I know at some point in the future it will work itself out. So for me, that is it's a brilliant safety net for me, essentially. And it's like, being part of a family that thinks about you and cares about you. And if you're having a bit of a hard time, you can go, why isn't this working? Or
it's lonely. It's a lonely world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Small business people and who do you turn to when you've got a problem, an opportunity, or an idea? It's great to bounce that off. Well, Lisa, thank you for having a feedback. We should do this in 6 months and see where second line of defense is going.
I'll be sort of the one lying flat on the floor, exhausted, right?
Well, that's great news. Well, it's great to connect with you today.
Thank you.
Look forward to catching up with you soon. See you again.
Thank you, Simon. Take care. Bye.